Rachel, I was right and I was wrong.
Oh. Okay, I'll take both of these
Yeah, these are good.
sides.
I was 100% wrong. I thought that Washington would never actually do anything except bloviate and carry on about student loan forgiveness. President Biden is announcing today that he is actually doing it. I'm guessing that he's doing that with an executive order, and I'm guessing there will be some legal challenges to that because I don't know if he has the legal right to do that with an executive order. I'm not a constitutional expert. We'll see about all that, but he is doing it. The thing I was right about was I was 100% sure that this ridiculously failed presidency was going to do a Hail Mary going into the midterms. And I've told you guys over the air here several times in the past several weeks that he was going to do an announcement this week, the week before the student loan interest rate forgiveness, the repayment was going to restart on August 31st. I was 100% sure he was going to extend that and announce something about some kind of student loan forgiveness. I said that was going to happen. I also said that when it happened, it would not amount to anything, that it would be a bunch of political crap, and when you read the fine print, that nothing would happen. But this appears to actually have some teeth. So
it has something. Well,
I was wrong about that.
And as we're speaking right now, though, the press conference has not gone live. We've just seen what...
Well, the White House is releasing the details.
They've released some of it, yes. But I'm curious here in the next few hours when the press conference, what actually the details of it and what ends up happening. Because
it appears that if you have... up to $10,000 will be forgiven if you make less than $125,000 a year in student loans. It appears that
public loans, not private.
Public, not private. Mm-hmm. And one guy already tweeted and said, "My mortgage is now self-identifying as a student loan." So just to let you know, but the not working. But I'm sorry. But the second thing that happened was if you're a Pell Grant recipient, meaning that you were in there on a you were struggling, you're at the poverty level or whatever when you went into school, then you get up to $20,000 forgiven if you make less than $125,000 a year.
Yeah.
This appears to affect about 20 million student loans. Student loan holders.
Yeah.
And so out of the 43 million. So it's pretty substantial. So here's our take on this. We've been talking about it around here for a couple of days because they telegraphed that this was coming in a sense. That number one, first and foremost, if you are a $10,000 student loan person and you make less than $125,000 and this is getting ready to be forgiven, we're happy for you. We want good things for you. We're happy for you. We're glad you got relief.
We want you out of debt as quickly as possible.
We want you to get out of debt, and we're happy for you as individuals. We're also simultaneously angry on behalf of the people who paid off their loans and feel screwed. And you know why they feel screwed is because they got screwed. That's why they feel screwed. And we're also angry that this is an obvious political ploy when this presidency, from an economic standpoint, is the greatest failure since Jimmy Carter. We have the highest inflation. The gas pump will make you puke. You fill up your buggy at the grocery store, it'll make you puke. Your interest rates on your homes are up. The housing market has slowed down. We're in a recession. We may be. We were with the last 2 quarters. We were in a recession. We may be recovering from a light recession. It's not much of a recession, but it's a recession. Which, by God, the economy is not prospering. Oh, and they just passed the largest spending bill in history. To add to this, and this move of the stroke of a pen of $10,000 forgiveness amounts to about $300 billion with a B more debt. So you people listening just paid off all these other people's student loan debt, and your grandkids paid them off. And so while we are happy for you individuals, and we are, this slide towards socialism with this extreme left wing nuts it's out of control. It's completely out of control. This is a failed presidency. The Democrats are going to have a bloodbath at the midterms. They're going to get thrown out like no other party's ever been thrown out. And you can go ahead and mark that word down. And if I'm wrong, I'll come back and say I was wrong like I did a minute ago. But if I'm right, I'm going to say I told you so, too. But it's coming. Americans are sick of the wackiness coming out of the island of misfit toys known as Washington, D.C. They are sick of it. and they're going to fire a bunch of people's butts with a D after their name. And this little move right here is not going to save it. It's not going to keep that from happening because everybody's pretty aware that when you walk up to a gas pump and there's a sticker on it with a Biden that says, I did that, and you're looking at your gas, I filled up my truck. I had, when they cut it off at $100, you have to do it again. So I'm like, I'm running my debit card in there, in and out. People know what's going on in the midst of this, right?
Just so you know, before we went on the air, I was like, hey, as we talk about this, let's do like a bulk about the American and a little bit about political, because here's the deal: regardless of who gets in,
it is political. That's the only reason it happened.
It is, but regardless of who gets in November, that's not going to change your life. People listening,
no, it's not going to change your life.
Regardless of what happens in November and who's in Washington D.C., they're all an island of misfit toys. And if you want to change your life, you have to believe in the power of yourself and that you can do it.
Absolutely. And you also ought to call your congressman and tell them you're going to fire them because they continue to make student loans.
That too.
So what about the guy who takes out student loans next week? What are you going to do to help him? You bozos keep making these loans, but they're so bad you have to forgive them because Americans are being oppressed by you. This is talking out of both sides of your mouth. This is so intellectually dishonest. If they're so bad you have to cancel them, why are you continuing to make them? You should at least stop making them before we start forgiving them. It's just intellectually dishonest, and it's an obvious political ploy.
It is, yes.
It's a ploy. It was a campaign promise. For a year and a half you've been in office. Why did it take you a year and a half? If I make a promise, I don't have to wait a year and a half to fulfill it. I can just do it. It's just like that. God, this is aggravating.
Well, and it's just the whole industry, though, because the whole industry
is so predatory.
It's so predatory, and these 18-year-olds.
You can't buy beer, but you can go $100,000 in debt.
Yeah.
It's just dumber than crap.
Well, and the people that and these kids too. That's the part of the first part of what you were saying, of the individuals that are happy, because this whole thing is so student loans. It is this lie that has been accepted. So stop it.
So those of you that have your loans forgiven, we're happy for you. The rest of you, we're pissed off as you are, because you got to pay the bill, and nobody asked you if you wanted to pay the bill. You just got told you're going to pay the bill. That's not nice. It's bad politics. The timing is obviously politics.